today's conference and workshops really was about opportunities in agritourism, opportunities in getting communities together around the main theme, central theme of agriculture and the assets that we have in our communities. So, I want to give you some tools and some ideas on how you can make that happen. First of all, don't wait until the day of your farmer's market to include your community. You want to bring them in to the planning and to the process of having a market, a farmer's market, or as someone back here mentioned, a harvest festival, as early in the process as you can. And you can do that by bringing them in as sponsors, as board members, as vendors, as entertainment, event hosts, event managers. All of those places are roles where you can bring in your community and your community members. You want to make the market, and I mentioned this about the produce party, more than just a shopping trip. You want to make it something that is going to be more than a quick in and out. We can do that at Walmart. People don't want that when it comes to a market or when it comes to an agritourism industry. You want to make it a place where people want to be, where they want to socialize, learn, relax, stay a while, and, by the way, shop. And the longer they stay, the more they'll spend. And the more they'll learn. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do that. Any farmer's market or any festival that you have, whether it's one day or it happens on a weekly basis, can include events. And there's hundreds of events out there, but in my position as the director for the North Dakota Farmers Market and Growers Association, not only do I get in contact with all of the farmers markets across the state, I also get to see farmers markets in other states. And I see all sorts of ideas for events. We've got a couple pictures here of pumpkin festivals, largest pumpkin contests. Okay? Up in Pembina and Walhalla, they have a very nice pumpkin festival. I can't remember if they've already just had it or if it's coming up here. Very nice pumpkin festival out there. Next to that is a picture of a maypole, and they're celebrating May Day. Now, here in North Dakota, it's a bit difficult to get the farmers market going by May. We don't have a lot of produce going on in May. But I did throw that in there just as an idea of an event that you can do around a non-typical holiday celebration. Maybe there's another holiday that falls within your season, your market season, that you can make an event out of. Because May Day isn't one, I remember when I was a little kid, we used to deliver the little May baskets, but it's not one that we typically celebrate anymore. And you might have a holiday where you can do the same thing. Our type of market. There is a wonderful market over in Wisconsin that they have a particular day where not only do they have their produce vendors and their regular baked goods vendors, but they highlight art for that day. And they encourage their artists to come to the market on that day as well and have their local artisans be there to showcase not only their work but to talk about their process of how they do their artwork. In the middle, we have a gal standing there. She looks like she's just got her produce. But take a look, she's wearing a Santa hat. Many of the markets that I know do a Christmas in July. And it's a great way not only to sell their produce from July, but also to highlight some of their other artisans and their craftspeople and get people thinking about how great this would be for a Christmas gift. And they'll do a Christmas in July. Next to that is just an opening of a market. If you're starting a brand new market, why not make a splash that very first day? Invite your community leaders, invite your tribal government, invite the heads of the community college here. Make a splash. Get those people involved from the very beginning so they feel like they have a stake in that market. And open your market, your very first day of the season or your very first day of the market ever, with a splash. Because the more people know about it and the more you have involved them, the more they will feel a part of it and continue to come. Down in the right-hand corner, we have a 10th anniversary. And why do you have to wait until 10 years to celebrate? Why not celebrate 5 and 3? Woo-hoo, we've been in business 3 years. had the market going now for 2 years. Have an anniversary celebration, and again, invite your local dignitaries, invite the people of the community that are of importance, and help them feel a part of it, so you're building your community. And down on the left, is that my, oh, it's very difficult to see on this one, but the left, that's actually the Grand Forks Market. I think in here somewhere, I have a slide that says, I think it's at the very end, things that will bring people in. And one of them, not only is free food, but children. Because what do children come with? Parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles. And so if you have events that involve children, maybe you have Chad and his program come and put on a demonstration or sing at your market or at your event. Because the parents and the grandparents and the family of those children that are performing will also come to see them. So that is a key to success there. That was a little dance group in Grand Forks that was doing some Scandinavian dances that particular day. More events that you can just make up. Okay? This is a particular farmer's market in Minnesota that does zucchini races. Now we all know you plant one zucchini and all of a sudden 600 zucchini off the garden. You have more zucchini, you know what to do with it. What this particular market does is they have zucchinis, and the week before the races, the kids come and they get a zucchini from the market. And that's one way the market can ensure that everybody has kind of the same size of zucchini. Okay? Then the children take them home and they make them into little cars, like up in the right-hand side there. They can decorate their zucchini car any way they want to. They bring them back the next week and they race them. You see up at the top of the center there, that's their little racetrack, and they time them. I've seen other places around the country pictures where they have longer or better racetracks, but it's just something fun, and it's a great way to involve the kids, their parents, their grandparents, and the community. In the left-hand side, we have 2 examples of another event. This time of year, we're looking towards fall, and we're thinking about fall decorating. This particular market has a scarecrow festival, and they have a scarecrow contest. And everybody makes their own scarecrow and brings it to the market, and the market sets them up and judges them. And they have different categories, and so you can win a prize based on your scarecrow. Again, it's a great way to involve the community. In the center, that's a baking contest. Maybe there's something in particular, it's that time of year, you want to do fruits, maybe you're going to have a blueberry pie baking contest, or a salsa contest. But baking contests are a great way to get people to your event and get to participate. Down on the right-hand side, that's something very similar to what we do at the produce party. That was a largest vegetable or largest cabbage contest. And the one on the right-hand side, since that's that little gator is their market mascot, reminds me, don't forget your athletic groups. Many times, all of us as a community are involved in cheering on our athletic groups. We like to go to the games, we like to watch them, we like to root for them. Invite those teams to the market as well. Because again, they will draw all of their supporters to that event and make it an even more community-minded and larger event. So don't forget your athletic groups. Besides events, you can have activities. In the pictures here, we've got that big purple thing. It was a big trough of like goo. Kids just can't resist goo, can they? You know, get in, get your hands dirty. That was an activity where they were looking at handprints and talking about animal tracks. Okay. Up in the left-hand corner, they were doing a seminar or a workshop where they were talking to kids about natural resources, things like that. You can see there's a rock climbing wall. Now, I know in Devil's Lake, at a couple of the trade shows, they were able to get the Boy Scouts apparently have access to a climbing wall. Okay, so it's not like we just can't get one. We just have have to know where to call. Down in the right-hand side is the Birmingham Youth, and they were doing some little crafts projects. And in the center was a great tomato contest, a great tomato festival, and they had some tomato activities that they were doing. Senator Tom picked out a potter, person throwing pots on a potter's wheel. Anytime that you can have an activity where you can get people involved, let them get their hands dirty, let them be active. Someone earlier mentioned, I think Dad said, people learn better when they're doing. People have more fun when they're doing and participating. So those are the types of activities. You can also have entertainment, balloon animals, a chef. That seems to be the big one at farmers markets, especially across North Dakota and Minnesota right now, is they will find a local chef that is willing to do a demonstration. There are a few regulations in North Dakota that people have to follow, but what I'm finding is that the markets in North Dakota are not having any problems following those health and safety regulations. But just want you to be aware that the best thing for you to do if you're having a chef demonstrate at your event at farmers market is to call your local health district folks and make sure that you follow the rules. There's few and simple, but they are still there. Chefs will usually come out and demonstrate. It's a great way to use local produce. If you were growing native products, native corns and things like that, maybe they take a little bit different treatment or could be used in a wonderful different way that the chef would love to demonstrate. The balloon animal guy is there. There's a picture of some gals who were telling jokes. They were kind of comedic singers. They were fun. And the hula hoop man, I loved him. Absolutely loved him. That was so entertaining. And after he was done, then he got all the kids involved. He was giving the kids hula hoops. It was a lot of fun. So entertainment is another thing that can get your community involved. And when I say involve them, I also want you to think about having them have booths at your farmer's market or at your event. Most of us who are involved in the community at some point or other find ourselves in a position where our organization or our cause is looking to raise some money. And I mentioned athletics. Sometimes there's an athletic booster club or whatever that needs to raise some money. Don't forget to have them there. This last weekend when I said I was talking with that CSA gal, she had her little 4-year-old. And her 4-year-old goes to school here in Fort Todd. And I think last week at that age level, it was Fire Safety Week. And so the little 4-year-old was practicing in the leaves. Stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. Okay? And you can see up here, we've got, the firemen and the paramedics. Get those people out in the community. Get them to your event. Get them to your market. Because part of their mission, your social groups, your firemen, your police, your safety folks, is to know their community and to be a part of their community. And they will welcome the opportunity to be at your event if you just ask them. There are other groups, Relay for Life, athletic boosters, I mentioned those. Maybe there's a cancer prevention awareness. Maybe there's someone who is going to be having a benefit. Ask them to participate in your event or your farmer's market as well. Because again, what happens is they have a network of people. They have a group of people that they know that they work with. And by bringing them in to your event and to your market, you're making them a part of your family as well. And then it just grows and grows and becomes institutionalized. Everyone knows about your market. Everyone knows about your event. And it becomes a very satisfying thing, satisfying place to be at. Here's a couple of ones I mentioned. I was just speaking to the Garden Dwellers Farm. We've actually been doing the produce party for 7 years now. We got into it by accident. 7 years ago, the Department of Agriculture was going around the state of North Dakota trying to start more farmers markets because they are such a good way to build community and economic development. They had a meeting in Devil's Lake. My husband, myself, and 2 other people showed up. They had a meeting in KEYNOTE, and about the same number showed up. And the folks that showed up at KEYNOTE decided, we don't really think we have enough people growing vegetables to make this a weekly thing. But just like the gentleman back here that was talking about harvest festivals, they said, you know, we think we have enough to do a one-day farmer's market. And if we join together with a couple of people in Devil's Lake, we could really do a one-day farmer's market, but where are we going to hold it? Well, that time, 8 years ago, Church's Ferry had been bought out, and so there's only 10 residents left. And of course, that means we don't have a basketball team or a football team or any of the athletics team, which makes us what? Switzerland, right? We're in equal territory. We never have to play anybody else's team, okay? So we're like Switzerland Delta. So they said, let's do it in Church's Ferry. It's halfway between the two. Let's ask garden dwellers if they would do it. Excuse me. So the folks in Canton came to us and said, would you hold a one-day farmer's market? Sure. Why not? We have the space. Barry said, my husband said, yeah, I'll mow the lawn. It'll look all right. And they came, and everybody had a good time. And at the end of the day, they all said, next year when we do this, we had never planned on doing it again. It was a one-time thing for us, and then all of a sudden it was next year when we do this, next year when we do this. So the ways in which we involve the community is in the past, we've always had the alumni provide a meal. And in that way, the old Church's Ferry alumni can make some money. They have food available for lunch, and it's free will donation, and they make enough money to help keep their building open, okay, and some upkeep on the building. In the center there, one year we had a salsa tasting contest. I got a hold of one of my friends that actually has a large commercial operation where he does a lot of salsas down south in Texas where they like their salsa and they like it hot. And we got from mild all the way to the hottest that he could send it. And then we got some of this little extra juice that's extra hot stuff. We poured that in hottest. And we had a salsa tasting contest, which was kind of interesting because they were turning red and sweating, the tears were coming, and it was pretty funny. In the last couple of years, talking about activities where you can get families involved, we have included a make-your-own scarecrow contest. I mean, literally, I go out to the secondhand stores when they have bag days, and I get a whole bag of jeans and shirts, and we pin them together. And then I go buy, 5 or 6 bales of straw, and people come and they make their own scarecrow. They stuff it right there, and that's on the left-hand side over here. And they have a great time, because many of these kids, as I mentioned earlier, have never done that before. They don't even know what straw is. They haven't been on the farm. We think that we're so close to rural. We're not anymore. We really are not. And so it's a great time for them. They get to stuff the scarecrow, take it home, and mom and dad help, and it becomes a family affair. On the upper right, we always have a largest tomato contest. When we first started doing this, I thought, it's something that's nice to do, but it's never going to really go over well. I think we had 2 or 3 tomatoes there the first year, no big deal. But you know what? It didn't cost me anything to do. So the next year I said, well, let's do it again. Well, now, 8 years later, 7 years later, we're up to like 25, 30 tomatoes that have been rolling in from all over, 4-county area for this silly little contest. And we also do an ugly vegetable contest. Because I get tired of all the commercial vegetables where they try to produce them to all look the same and all be beautiful and all be the same size, so they ship well, and when they go to the grocery store, they all sit on there nice and slanted things, all went off, right? And it drives me crazy. Because I prefer the heirloom varieties that have some character, that look a little and taste way better. So we have what we call the ugly vegetable contest, and I'm trying to remember, it must have been about 7 years ago, something now. Novena West's son Dean won with this radish that, I'm not kidding you, was this long. The kid could barely hold it. It was great. So anything that's big or ugly or out of shape, we ask people to bring the ugly vegetable contest, and we fill a whole table with those every year. And again, it doesn't cost me a thing. Okay, I'll take that back. I provide the prizes. I do provide the prize. So it costs me $2 to buy a prize, but it brings a lot of people. You can see the happy smiling faces of the two folks up there that won first and second place with their tomatoes one year. I mean, it gives them pride. It makes them feel like they are a part of not only the event, but also the community. We always try to have workshops throughout the day, and I bring in everything from the Dole horses from Norway, which I brought in this last year, to North Dakota authors. You can see that is, his name escapes me. He wrote When God Made the Dakotas, and he's from Kansas. Tim Jensen. Sorry, Kessler. Tim Kessler. Tim Kessler. And I always try to bring in a North Dakota author to do a little book reading and to sell their books. There was a band, local band, the Silver Strings, out of Kandu. Just some local folks with their guitars and violins, and they came and sang one year. We've had chefs demonstrate. We've had workshops where people actually can get their hands dirty and do some things. Up right in the corner, they were making lanyards. Chef is in the middle. Lower left is Steve Swinger. I mentioned Steve Swinger and the native seeds. That's what he was out talking about. He brought some of the things that he had grown and was explaining all about the native seeds and where they came from and their great unusual traits. And we even had a masseuse, which was a very interesting year, the year we had the masseuse, because it was a wet year here, which in Devil's Lake is really kind of an odd thing to say because we're always wet, but that was an extremely wet year, and that year we had frogs and toads everywhere. And that morning the masseuse came and she set up beside Dale Miller's lawn. She said, oh, won't this be a relaxing place for people to get massages? They can sit here by the pond and get a massage, and it'll be so relaxing in the sunshine. What we didn't understand is when our families come and they bring their children, the children love frogs and toads. And I swear it was the mission of every child that was there that day to grab at least 3 frogs and toads and have fun. So that's all she got to see all day long was these frogs and toads being dumped into the pond. But it was fun, we laughed, we had a good time. We hold everything outside. Winning strategies. I don't care whether you're doing it one day, or every week, or every other week, or once a month. People will come if you have food, children, or large networks. And when I say large networks, that's what I was referring to by bringing in those other groups. Think about Relay Your Life, how that has grown. And how did that grow? Because we had a small group of people that knew a larger group of people, that knew a larger group of people. And every year it keeps growing and growing and growing, doesn't it? Because, oh, you know, we had a team and I was on their team, but now I'm going to get my own team. Bring in those social organizations and those social groups that have networks and bring them into your community or your market or event. So food, children, and groups with large networks. Winning strategy every time. Every community has organizations, schools, local sports groups, and clubs looking to raise money. Involve them. Bring them in. Allow them to have a little spot at your event or at your farmer's market and to do things to help them raise those funds. Don't forget your businesses and your service groups. There are many businesses. You know, a lot of times we don't think of, oh, businesses. Do we really want them there? There's a lot of banks, insurance companies, utility companies, that as part of their mission, they have to do so much community service or be involved in the community in a certain way. Ask them if they will be a part of your event. In some cases, in other cities, I know that the business groups or banks are actually being the ones to run the market. Or they're allowing people to have the market or event in their parking lot. That's their contribution. And advertise. Advertise as many places as you possibly can. And there are a lot of places where you can advertise with either low cost or for free. Flyers, we have all sorts of bulletin boards all over the place that you can put up a flyer for free. Yes, it's going to cost you some to make the copies, right, to put up there, but it's minimal. And flyers are something that people really like to look at. And many of our businesses, if you ask them, will allow you to place a flyer in their window or in their door or whatever, or they have a bulletin board right for that. Some places people don't think about, make up a flyer, make up a brochure, and any place people have to sit. The doctor's office, the dentist's office, the clinic, the waiting line somewhere, okay, the coffee shop, the local diner, okay, if they will allow you to put some out on their tables or in their waiting rooms, do it. Because you have a captive audience right there, don't you? Captive audience. They're sitting, they're waiting, they got nothing else to do. Might as well read your flyer. And oh, guess what? That sounds like fun. Guess I'll go. So don't forget to do advertising in those free and low-cost ways as well. Here's some examples of farmers market advertising that I think is very creative. Remember to make your advertising colorful and eye-catching. And the one up in the right up there, the North Dakota Farmers Market Growers Association. I will talk about the Farmers Market Growers Association a little bit later, but I just want to mention now, and we do have brochures in the back about it. As a member of the Farmers Market Growers Association, you have the rights to use that logo. And believe me, logos are expensive to create, and they're expensive to recreate at times. But as a member of the association, you get that electronic file. You get the ability to use that as long as you are a member of the organization. And look at what it says. The North Dakota Farmers Market Growers Association, Dakota grown, it's all good. What a better way to let people know that this is locally grown, that we took the time and the care and our hands and our love to grow this ourselves. And we want to pass that on to you. What a way to stamp your stuff with pride and say, it's coming out of North Dakota. We grew it. This isn't something we brought from Chile or Mexico or, you know, even Texas or Florida. We made it right here. So, but just some ideas on some marketing. And that's all I wanted to do for right now. If anyone has any questions about events or how to involve your community, like I said, do it early, do it often. Get them on your board, get it in on the organization of the event for your farmers market, and things should be good. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes?
You have one up in Church's Ferry as well?
Yep.
And it's always
It's always on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And we're always looking for vendors. So if some of you are growing produce and you want to come sell, be a vendor, we'd love to have you. Yes, Scott?
You see salsa and jams and things at a lot of these markets, and if so, I have another discuss. Are there some regulations as far as processing and things like that?
Did you read books?
The farm books.
Farm market books? Scott, that's an excellent question. In North Dakota, we cannot do salsas or pickles unless you have canned them, preserved them in a commercial kitchen. We can do jams and jellies. Okay. The North Dakota Department of Ag put this book together, and there are copies of it that Dana brought and put over here. I would really encourage anybody to pick that up. What this booklet does, the association worked with the Department of Agriculture and others to come up with this booklet. It goes through county by county and lists the regulations for each county. Each county varies, and each Health District varies in their regulations of what can be sold at farmers markets. And this will list them all. And if it doesn't answer your question, it lists the contact for the person to call. The reason, though, for the salsas and the pickle thing is that they really sometimes, not every recipe that's being used is acidic enough to keep botulism and bacteria out of the mix. And for safety's sake, I can't think of anywhere in North Dakota where pickles or salsa is allowed unless you're producing it in a commercial kitchen. Now, in the case of Fort Totten and maybe some of the community members here, the North Dakota Department of Agriculture has a commercial kitchen on wheels. It's a mobile trailer that you can rent. Last I heard, it was $125 for a day, and that's a 24-hour day. Okay? And it has everything you need that is approved as a commercial kitchen. So if you got several groups together, maybe the college and maybe the extension group and several people went together and all got that trailer for a day or two, you can do a lot of salsa and a lot of pickles in there in a day or two. And it's self-contained, it has a generator, so it's not like you're going to have to be doing this, there's going to be a brownout all over Fort Totten because it's full of juice. I mean, it's really nice. The other thing to consider, though, is not only in that situation do you have to have the commercial trailer or the commercial kitchen, you, the person making the stuff, or your process also has to be approved. That's very simple. It is also in the booklet on who to call. It would be our Lake Region Health District, okay? And what they would do is look over your process, your recipe, to make sure that it was going to be good. And they'd say, yep, go ahead and make it. That answer the question? Okay. Any other questions? But again, jams and jellies, fine. Jams and jellies are fine. We're only looking at things that have a different acidity level like pickles and salsas. But jams and jellies are fine. No certified kitchen needed there. Any other questions? Well, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.